Rwandese, our hearts beat in threes.
Kwibuka abo twari turibo nicyo twaremewe.
Gonna take some time for them to warm up to you, Dare.
My name is Malaika Uwamahoro and I am an artist.
Then named me Malaika Uwamahoro, angel of peace, because I was born in a time of war.
Hey mama, lately I've been feeling the weight of my black skin.
And I see hate, so mama pray that I don't make a mistake. Pray I don't shake with the devil, feel my life is now at stake.
Rwanda is not Hotel Rwanda, no. Rwanda is the heart-beating life of Africa, the world's example and definition of hope, resilience, and ambition. If you haven't yet heard, listen. Grab a pen and learn, because Rwanda is a lesson.
How many times did I tighten my mouth till your wet, pressing lips tore them open?
I've always been surrounded by artists, and that's definitely contributed to the person I've become. But I've also had a lot of training. I've been trained by Mashirika Performing Arts, Spoken Word Rwanda, Isho Arts Center, Fordham University, different workshops that I've always participated in that have really added to my skill set. I've learned that I'm capable of doing a lot of things in the art world. I'm able to do poetry, theater, film, music. So it's been really interesting and at times really challenging, because there have been times where I've had to teach myself new skills. It's been a really interesting journey, but I'm so happy that in this journey I'm finding different ways to express myself and also learning. I keep learning, so it's been an amazing journey. I think for me, having a background as an actor really helps, because that means that I can really enter into character. So depending on the subject, like I'm able to get those acting skills and really deliver the poetry in a way where you think, oh, this person is affected by this thing, you know what I'm saying? And you know, with poetry is a very, it can be very heavy and very, you know, so being able to carry those emotions and to hold them is something that I get from my acting skills. I have a lot of content in music and a lot of poetry content that I have that is kind of waiting for me to make visual content for it. And I think with my latest projects, Black Skin and How Many Times, one of the most valuable lessons I've learned is to use what we have. For Black Skin, I wrote it in 2015. I recorded it in Abu Dhabi in 2019, and we shot it in 2020, and that's when it came out. So you see, it's had a long journey on its own, but one of the reasons is because I always thought that Black Skin needed a huge set. And I think that was a really big lesson for me, using what I have around me. And ever since then, like even with How Many Times, we used what we have. We used our shadows. We used shadow work. I think for me and Chris, we started to really look at what do we have and how can we make the most of it. So that has been a really valuable lesson, that if anybody else is out there and wanting to make their own content and is having really big ideas about what to do, to kind of keep that dream but also scale down and see how you can make it possible with what you have. The inspiration for How Many Times, I wrote this piece I think in 2018 or so. There's been a lot of conversation around rape and a lot of back and forth, and rape apologists and people who will protect perpetrators of rape instead of protecting the victims, and they will like ignore the victim's story or shame the victim or make the victim feel like they're crazy for saying their story. And I think with How Many Times, I just really wanted to bring the story of rape visually so that people can understand what we're talking about and understand that what we're talking about is non-negotiable. It's not a discussion. This is an atrocity that happens. And my hopes for that piece was to really show people what happens, to pull them in and show them what happens so that they can be a witness to, what they are denying happens. And I think it's really hard in our community and in communities all over the world for people to admit that the people who rape are their fathers, are their brothers, are their friends, are their cousins, are people that they know. And I think that that's something very hard for people to come to terms with when if their father or uncle or somebody is accused of that, they automatically want to protect that person. But the fact is, these are the people doing it, and we need to address it, and we need to hold them accountable. So with how many times, I think it's my hope that that kind of messaging can come across, and that people can take it more seriously and really hold rape apologists, rapists accountable for the actions that they take in their free will. I feel like I've always wanted to be an artist, but along the way I've been discouraged by family, by friends, saying, being an artist is really hard, you won't get paid as much as you want, or it's hard to find gigs that pay you what you want, or to, be accepted in movies that you want. And it is a hard career path. I'm not going to say that it's easy, but it's definitely worth it when you love it and when you know what you're capable of, and when you're willing to work for it, when you're willing to go through thick and thin to make sure that what you envision for yourself comes true. So I would say stay true to yourself and work hard, and just be true and be real to your dreams. It's really important. For me personally, I've challenged myself that no matter how hard it gets, I will always continue to do artwork and to surround myself with other artists, so that whether it's my project or their projects, I'm contributing in some way, and I'm creating a community that knows that I have this different kind of skill set, and that I can contribute to those things. So I would say just put yourself out there, and also create a work ethic that stands you out from people who just consider art as a hobby. How do you make this thing that you love work? I remember when we just moved here when I was 11 and a half, and the only thing that was available to me at that time was Mashirika Performing Arts. And now we have so many different art homes and art houses that produce different kinds of work, be it in fashion or in music or in theater. Platforms like Spoken Word Rwanda, which really is a great platform for spoken word artists, for poets, for actors who do monologues. I think that we're coming far, and I think that we've also started to see some of our artists do international collaborations. I think we're going places. I definitely think we're going places. What I would say is needed, I feel like on the ground, or Rwandans in general, wherever they may be, is to support their artists more. I think that's one thing that we still, as Rwandans, need to realize that we contribute to and we can do more of. I did a one-woman show called Miracle in Rwanda, where I had to be 18 different characters in one show for an hour, and my body had to change from an old man to a young woman to a baby. And I feel like I was really nervous when I was given that task, but it showed me how much I'm capable of vocally, with my acting skills, within my body, like what my body is capable of doing. So I think that it was so challenging, but at the same time it showed me that I really am made for this and I can do this. The stories that I carry, they do bear a lot of weight. So I feel like that can be challenging, but you also have to find ways to deal with that. Maybe you have supportive family, maybe you go and see a therapist often, maybe you do activities like going to the gym, taking care of your mental health and your physical health, and also just different things that can sometimes support what you're doing, but at the same time also allow you to just be you. I find that being around friends and family and doing exercises physically and going to a therapist really helps me. when it's a back-to-back thing, like for example when it's theater and it's like I have a run for a month and so I'm doing 8 shows a week, and then like I have to go home maybe after I do a show, and then I have to wake up and do a show. I feel like during that month it's hard for me to come out of that completely because I'm so in it for a long period of time, and even the rehearsal time, and I also have to commit. I have to say I have to be this way for this amount of time. So it's harder then to come out of it, and I'll maybe not be in the best moods during that time because it's so heavy and it's harder to let go. So when it's over a period of time, I feel like it can be challenging emotionally. But again, I go to my yoga, I go to my meditation, I try my best to be on the phone with my mom, with my husband, and they're really great support. So Rwanda is my home, and Chris and I hope to make the transition to come here. We also have a dream of making an art school here where you can learn all kinds of different arts, performing arts, visual arts. So we're really excited to come back home at some point soon. But for now, we're still learning, we're still growing, trying to be the strongest, best version of ourselves before we can fully commit to come home and share what we've learned and and contribute in ways that we really hope to. But every time I come home, I love it. I love being around my friends, my family, eating our food. I love it. I love being home. I have a lot of future projects coming up. Please, for now, watch Black Skin, watch How Many Times, share it with your friends and your family. And I hope before I leave again, I hope to shoot a couple of things here that I hope that you guys will enjoy. But always trust and believe that my content will have a message and that it'll be something that touches you as much as it touches me. Follow your heart, follow your dreams, and don't let anyone or anything stand in your way. This is one of my favorite poems. It's called Rwanda is not Hotel Rwanda. Rwanda is not Hotel Rwanda. No, Rwanda is the heart-beating life of Africa, the world's example and definition of hope, resilience, and ambition. If you haven't yet heard, listen. Grab a pen and learn, because Rwanda is a lesson. Rwanda is where the great Kivu Lake rests in, where the birds of the Nyungwe forest nest in, and the foreign investors fly all the way to invest in. What's happening right now in Rwanda is interesting, and it's amazing to be a part of and watch. Watch Rwanda. Rwanda is tens of growing cities, hundreds of opportunities, the land of 1,000 hills, the faces with 1,000,000 smiles, and just one people. We are united back home, where I come from. In Rwanda, there is peace, where we live in peace and where we live as we please. Yemwe, simvuga mahanga, oya ndavuga iwacu mu Rwanda, ahari kubera ibitangaza. Rwanda is birds and lakes, lights and city streets, volcanoes and silverbacks, restaurants, cinemas and coffee beans, teas, industries, and electricity. I come from the earth's last piece of paradise. A big-hearted land where my people chose forgiveness over the atrocities they witnessed. A land where we are not afraid to speak the truth. A land where there is room for the youth. A land where my people work hand in hand to demand justice and dignity. We come from a land that has risen from the ashes of sorrow to the rose blossom of tomorrow. A land of agachiro. We come from that land. So no, Rwanda is not Hotel Rwanda. We will not be defined by the genocide. Rwanda is the land of pride, the home to dreamers, believers, and achievers, learners and teachers, humans and creatures, the heart-beating life of Africa, the world's example and definition of hope, resilience, and ambition. If you haven't yet heard, yo, I hope you listened, because Rwanda is a lesson.